The Orias Initiative, Part 2. The Orias facility wasn't easy to find. The terracotta buildings were perfectly camouflaged in the desert, and the location wasn't known by the main public. Those roads were very little used by common people, and even if they knew where the side paths lead to, it was very unlikely that they were going to try. The program was so efficient in their campaign against the ghosts that being seen around a facility was a taboo, as if you had dear people locked in that would raise suspicion over you. No one wanted to be taken as a ghost by mistake because it could ruin their life. In the beginning, some curious people were locked for enough time to regret, and most of what the main public truly knew by unconventional news vehicles were due to these people. But in general, this politic led to very little interest from the public and almost no interference with the Ellipsis program. With the exception of those who had a spontaneous ghost in their progeny and had their children taken away. Most would be loud for a while, trying to recover, or at least to understand what was happening to their beloved ones. But it doesn't take much for them to give up, as there is nothing to be done. The family can't have contact with any ghosts in the facilities to prevent escape attempts, and most don't even know where their children ended up going. And since Nexa was everywhere now, there were no chance that a ghost wouldn't be discovered. The Nexa detectors were in the schools, hospitals, police stations, and the new ghosts were taken still babies. The oldest generations could avoid being caught, so there was an understanding of older ghosts still being free and hiding to survive, but not young people. Maya's generation was one of the first to be born in an Orias-dominated society, and she never knew a life that she could be free. The whole squad was chatting about frivolous subjects, and Maya was grateful for that, as she was still lost in her thoughts and didn't want to interact with Quinn. The entrance was easy to pass. Leo had all the documents, and information recovery was a simple daily mission. The bureaucracy was the biggest challenge there. "Here is our permission, sir," Leo said, giving the documents in the entrance of the building. The guard checked quickly, with very little interest, and, without a word, allowed their transport to pass the gate. Miles was driving their truck, and was going to wait with Thalia and River in the truck. Even being a low-risk mission, it was part of their protocol to be always ready to a quick retrieve and for backup. And considering it was a personal quest, it was good to be ready to go. That made Maya to feel mixed feelings. Due to her understanding of the situation, she preferred to have all of them with her that day. But also because it was such a delicate subject, not having River around was going to be a blessing. River loved her life in the dorms and the adrenaline of the missions, and that could interfere with her judgment of things and cause her trouble. But because she loved Leo very much, as he was her friend and protector, Maya had to worry about Thalia too. Once they passed the main gate, the small talk was over, and they were all concentrated in their mission. They couldn't trust the guards as they saw them as ghosts, but also had to be careful with the ghosts that consider them traitors. "Thalia, you are in charge as usual and keep me informed," Leo said, getting Arx out of the vehicle, followed by Julian, Avery, Quinn, and Maya. They still had 2 more security checks to pass until they could talk to the administration, and it took almost a whole hour for them to double-check their credentials. "When they need us to contain a rebellion, they are a lot faster," Avery complained, whispering between her teeth. "Caution, Avery," Leo said, looking at her with a severe look. Avery was the angriest of them all. She was taken away with her brother Gale, and for a while they were kept together, as they were both highly skilled ghosts. However, Gale was a sensitive person. He was an empathetic boy, and very unlikely to harm others. Being discarded to a random facility, according to the guards, that Avery wasn't informed about when she was still 8 years old and he was 11. She never saw her brother again after that day. And that's why she was supporting Maya so much in finding out about Mira and any other family she could have. Once they were into the administration building, they were escorted by guards to the main office to wait for the director to speak with them. "Do we need to talk with the director? Usually we can get information in the registration and personal information section," Leo asked the sergeant leading them through the office. "Not in the maximum security facility. The ghosts here are more dangerous, and special permissions are required to get any confidential information." "It is the first time of your squad here?" he asked. "No. We assisted in the rebellion 4 months ago, but we were assigned to this territory recently, so this is the first time we are transferring confidential information for you," Leo answered politely. "I think I remember you." "Well, I definitely remember her," he answered, pointing to Maya with his head. That caused a high level of anxiety in her, as their biggest fear was that someone would pay attention in Mira enough to realize they were relatives. She was infiltrated and collecting information that day. "I am not surprised you remember her," Leo answered, calming her immediately. "Yeah, exactly. It is wild what you can do, and you are such a little girl. I was impressed," the sergeant said with a discomfort posture and weird tone. Nothing like admiration, but something like fear and distrust. "I'm pretty good at my job. And I like it," Maya said with a half smile. It was always smart to play along with the guards, or they could end up in one of the cells. The man laughed and stopped talking. They didn't know how long it was going to take until they could get access to the files, and Maya was waiting impatiently already. Time was passing, and there was a very tight schedule to have everything working perfectly. She kept her eyes on the clock the whole time in such a way that disturbed the sergeant. "Are you in a hurry, miss? Any place you have to be?" he asked. "Yes, Sergeant. We must return with this information to our superiors as soon as we can, and having them calling to the facility to complain would be remarkably displeasing for the director," Maya answered, shocking them all. Maya was always quiet, discreet, and with lovable manners. Her squad had never seen her so confrontational like that before. At the same time, she looked calm and confident, so even surprising the others, Leo didn't say a word about it. "Well, that's not of our business, is it? My boss and your boss can solve by themselves," he said, laughing. "And we can keep waiting as long as we need." Maya smiled discreetly, still keeping her eyes on the clock. Suddenly, the radio began to beep. "Is everything okay?" Leo asked. "Is Thalia with you?" River asked nervously. "No. What happened?" Leo asked, stepping back from the guards and whispering to have more privacy. "Thalia received a message. Don't know what it was about, but she went out of the car saying she would be back soon, and we haven't seen her until then. She left the radio in the truck," River said apprehensively. "Understood," Leo said, turning off the radio. "Julianne, can you please return and check if Thalia is coming in? If there were other of you coming in, I would be informed," the sergeant said, suspicious. "Another reason to double-check," Leo said. He then started calling her in her personal communicator, but seemed to be off too. Quinn then approached him and asked, "Maybe we should go. Can we do this another day?" "That won't be necessary," Maya said, moving towards the hall door while the director Morrison was coming in. "Sergeant, I am already aware of this visit," Captain Muller requested personally some information about a couple of ghosts here. "Can you accompany these people to the archives?" Morrison asked, without even looking at their squad. He nodded with his head and asked Leo and the others to follow him. As they were walking, they heard the director's voice from behind their back, shouting, "And please make a copy of everything they get. I want it on my table before they leave." Maya felt a cold in her spine, but didn't allow him to get to her bones. It didn't matter if he was going to find out about Mira after all, but she could tell Leo and Quinn were apprehensive. Avery was angry and staring the director with a ferocity look that usually would bother Maya, but that day she was actually enjoying. "Anything about Thalia?" Leo said on the radio. "Not yet," River answered. "Don't worry, Leo. We will get what the captain need and go away. It won't take long. I bet Thalia is safest than any of us," Maya answered calmly. "Are you okay, Maya?" Quinn whispered in her ear and she nodded her head. The sergeant led them to an elevator to the basement where they could see a large hall, similar to a library containing many shelves with boxes and books, and several central and individual computers spread across the walls. They went to one of the main computers and the sergeant stand right behind the station, waiting for them to use it. Leo sat in the computer feeling distressed. He knew once he searched for Mira, her photo was going to be projected on the screen, and it was going to be obvious the resemblance with Maya. He had to figure out how to do it without warning them, or they would have to give up on their mission to not raise any suspicious. But Maya approached him and said, "Let me do it." Leo got out of the chair and allowed her to work on the station. By then, He was uncomfortable with her too, and with everything that was happening in there, he held her shoulder and asked, "Is there anything I need to know, Maya?" "Not now, but soon," she answered, offering him her best smile to make him feel better. Leo trusted her and walked back. So Maya got their safety dispositive to copy data, connected with the computer, and started typing, looking for information. But what was their friend's surprise when the photo that showed up there didn't look at all with Maya. It was a man. He was tall, black and skinny, shaved hair, and had some scars in his face. He seemed to be around his 30 years old and had the sweetest look Maya had ever seen on her life. Besides his picture, there was a name: Gail Robinson. Avery held her shoulder and looked at Maya with wide open eyes. Maya smiled at her and then started reading. Gail Robinson, 29 years old, time and space traveler, former soldier, located in the General Cell's North Building. Well-behaved and very talented, danger level, harmless. That's the first one, Maya said, as if she was recording, taking notes about it. "Are you copying, Sergeant?" Leo asked, still confused about what was happening. "Yes, don't worry about my job. I can do it myself. We won't need the background of this one," Maya continued. Now, the next is Damian Andrews, 27 years old, space traveler. Very attached to Mira Sanders. Less dangerous when not separated. Had participated of rebellions a couple times. Danger level: moderate. And placed at the North Building too. Administration, where we are, is the central building, right, Sergeant? Yes. But I don't know why the captain needs the location of these people, he said, stressed. Before Maya could answer, they heard the security alarm sounded very loud and echoing in the archives, and Nexa's voice announces over the megaphones.
"Attention, prisoner escape in progress. Attention, prisoner escape in progress. Alert for potential rebellion. Attention, attention."
"It is starting," Maya whispered. "You, stay here and don't move until you are called." The sergeant yelled at Leo and ran back to the elevator with some other guards. Maya then searched for Mira's name and stared at the screen for a while. "So, it is truth," Maya said. The screen had Mira's photo, the younger version of Maya she spoke about, with her whole file exposed. Mira was indeed Maya's sister, but not a younger one. She was Maya's twin. The file had the register of two girls, one talented, who was transferred with a different last name to a military facility, Maya, while the other, Mira, was sent to prison. Mira was at a better facility until she met Damian. Because he was transferred to that place and was giving too much trouble without her, Mira was also sent there, even being considered not talented and harmless in her file. It is truth. Mira is my sister. I travel so much, we are aging differently, Maya said with a sad smile. The alarm was louder and more intense, and the lights went out, turning only the emergency red lights, and Nexa was shouting on safety mode activated, causing their collars to start buzzing and flashing red lights. However, one collar did not respond to Nexa's command. It was Maya's collar.
Continues